Hi, welcome to Hubert's Hot Rods and Fabrication. Today we're working on the 37 Ford Coupes fenders. Again, this is like a part 3 video. I'm doing rust repair, kind of cleaned it all up just to catch you up if you're not watching. And now we are on the back side of the fender, and as you can see here, there's some pinholes, or maybe you can't. We're going to take a closer look. There's a reinforcement bar on the back side. We'll look at that and see what it's going to take to remake this piece. Here's a closer look at those holes. Just a finger there size reference hole, you know. There's some pinholes in there too that need to get taken care of. But I'm thinking I'm just going to make this whole piece. I'm not going to try and just make little scabs. That's going to be a pain. So let's take a look at the inside. There's a reinforcement bar in there. Not sure what gauge that is yet, but it looks like it might be 16. I'm going to have to separate. It's spot welded in 3 spots. I'm going to have to separate those spot welds. But first, let's get to making this piece. All right, let's figure out what we're looking at here. So this top flange comes down. It's hard to see on video, but we're at about 1.25 inches there. 1.25 inches is a nice line right there all the way down. Right there. So I'm thinking we're gonna make our piece that'll come down and cover everything at 2.5 inches. Yeah, 2.5 inches. So we're gonna start our template with a 2.5 inch strip. All right, don't mind my messy workbench here. We are using all these tools at the moment. So 2.5 inches, nice and easy. I mean, if you can read the tape measure, you can figure this part out. 2.5 inches. That's what we want. Make our pencil line. And now we cut that. We have our 2.25 inch strip cut out, and we're ready to start putting our magnets on. I'm gonna line it up over here where I want it cut on the edge. Keep that edge nice and lined up. Okay. Make some notes on here. This is my cut line. Then we can see, I mean, we're gonna take a piece of flat sheet metal, and it's gonna look exactly like this, right? It's gonna have to get some type of shape put into it. In order to be able to make this bend here, I'm gonna figure out, we said it was at that tipping line was at 1.25 inches. So I'm gonna make that 1.25 inch line in my piece of material, and then I'll start tipping that line, and then I'll shrink this top section to start getting top of the fender, bottom to us now. But then I'll start getting that shape that I need for it to start rolling in. So let's get set up and start doing that. Start by trimming off this excess. That 1.25 inch line, we can do it on the car. I'm set up here, so Okay, that looks good. Let's take it off and make that line through there, and then we'll kind of see that. That's gonna look perfect. It's gonna need a lot more shrink over here to get to make this angle, obviously, than it does here. Here, it's almost flat. Made my line through there, just made a reference to which side was up, which side was down. It doesn't really matter. It's the same on both sides. So now I've confirmed that everything looks good and it's gonna fit. Let's transfer it to metal. Alright, that was quick. We got that part cut out and got some shape on there already. It's bendy, 18 gauge. It's all I usually mess with is 18 gauge. Unless it's brackets or something like that, then obviously I go heavier, or firewalls or something like that. But for now, this is the shape that we're looking for. Needs a little more spring in there. And that fits like a glove. Fits like a glove. Okay, now we're gonna make that mark in there and we're gonna start shrinking this edge on the shrinker. Let's get set up. All right, let's start a little shrinking. Okay, I'm just using my kick shrinker right now to start shrinking that top edge. Then I'm going to come back through here. That scribed line I'm going to transfer to the inside, and then I'll run it through the bead roller. And then we'll have a nice crisp line that you can see from both sides, and that'll be my break line. I'm just pre-shrinking this so when I take it to the tipping die, it's going to tip a lot easier. All right, almost there. Okay, let's get set up in the bead roller. You can see that it's starting to create some shape there. Very little, but it is. I'm going to run this through the bead roller. I'm going to put a crease in there basically. Then I'm going to run it back through and we're going to start to actually tip it. So I get my piece started in there, then I bite down on it, I make contact with it, and then I count how many cranks. So there, 2 or 1, 2, and 2 should be plenty just to make a little crease through here. So here we go. On that one, you want to take your time so you can actually get a good bite on there, nice and straight. That's now your guide basically. So we're going to go right back through there, see if I can get this started. No problem. And now we're going to actually tip it. So we're going to try to go as slow as possible. This is an older machine, so it is pedal controlled, and it is not my favorite, but it's a good machine. Getting started is tough, but once you get going, you have some leverage. Just watch your fingers. bit at a time. Oh, we got way off there. Got way off at the end. Go back to our original line. So we're about a 1/4 inch off at the end here. Okay, we've got some shape in there. Now we're gonna go back to the shrinker because now it's starting to straighten out here. We need that radius to go back in. So we get set back up at the shrinker and go from there. Alrighty then. So after going back and forth on a few different pieces of equipment there, you've seen shrinker stretcher, or actually just shrinker, bead roller, and planishing hammer. We are really close to fitting. This section right here is giving me a little bit of trouble, but I don't think I'm going to come past here. So this is really starting to fit really nice. So this whole section is awesome. That'll clamp, scribe, weld, really nice. So the next step is to get this section fitting a little bit better. All right. Now I'm going to start using the T-dolly to get more of a reverse kind of curve in here, so it follows the contour of the inside of that fender edge. Nice and gradual. Okay, we've got this piece fitting really nice now after a series of back and forth, but that's what it takes. A little shaping, a little fitting, a little shaping, a little fitting. It was not that easy to get that section in there all fit and done, and here done, but we made it work. All right, now to scribe and then cut it out. Like I said before, there's spot welds holding that brace in place. So I'm gonna have to get my carbide bit and cut those out. And then we'll take that whole section of sheet metal out, and then we'll start fitting this piece to that piece, to the actual support. We will get working on that next. All right, well, as you've seen in the time lapse, as I was taking that piece off, I broke that rear support. I had a feeling that was gonna happen. It was super duper thin. But off camera, I went ahead and cut me a piece that's 14 gauge, cut me a piece of 1.25 inches thick, 14 gauge, 11 inches long. We're sitting here, I got the flattest die in my English wheel. I really don't need to do this with the English wheel. I'm just gonna do it because I have it. And the flattest dies, it's gonna take some of this imperfection out, put some pressure in it, and we're gonna put a natural curve in this thing instead of just bending it. But let's get to it. I've already got this set at my thickness, metal thickness. So we're just gonna roll it through. We have very little pressure on it. And we're just coming through here. And this is, if you look around my shop, most of my tools here are just the cheapest tool you can buy, and I modify them somehow. This is just an old Harbor Freight English wheel that I built a truss system around, made it a lot stronger. As I grow, I plan to upgrade my tools, but this works great for now. And you can see it's starting to do exactly what I wanted it to. This is a really flat die, so it's not going to put any radius in it this way. It's just going to start to form it this way. Now we've cranked up the wheels, so we've got a little bit more pressure on it. I want to get that little kink out of there. That kink's long gone. Okay, we're getting a nice radius, Let's go over to the fender. We'll do the rest by hand, now that it's nice and smooth. A little bit more. Okay, we're obviously at the fender. So I have the piece here and it's all bent. So we're gonna just kind of get an idea of where that goes. Oh yeah, that's exactly how I wanted that. Just outside of the bolt holes, right up against this corner. We'll weld it into that corner. That'll metal finish nice, be nice and strong. And then this piece starts to do a twist over here. We're gonna cut that right inside of that twist. But first, let's get this clamped into place and then check it and make sure everything's where we want it to be. I'm thinking about not drilling any holes in here yet until I'll leave this hole here so we can get this fender bolted up against where the running board mounts. But these are running board mounting holes. And the running board is in pretty bad shape right now. Some of that's gonna change. I might make the holes they're rusty. I might have to remake the holes. So I'm gonna hold off on poking holes in anything yet. I'm just gonna get this welded in. So let's get this scribed and figured out first. Got this piece all cleaned up. Went over it with a stripper wheel. I just want to show you these. These are Benchmark abrasive stripper discs. These things are awesome. I am not sponsored. I just use the crap out of them for stripping rust, paint, anything. They work great. get you some. All right, so anyway, now it's time to clamp this beast into place. I went ahead and I put weld through primer on the inside of both pieces that are going to match, because once this is all fitted, I do not want to have to take it back apart and do it again. So here we go. Start over here in this corner. I like to cut my pieces, use the template, get them all fit the way that you see me do it here, you know. There's a million different ways to do it. This is how I like to do it. Okay, this might get boring, so I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse, set this up in time lapse and get this all clamped up, and we'll come back to it afterwards. All right, we got all the clamps back on it, and it is fitting up really nice. Let's get a better look at it. There's your plug weld holes in the front. All right. Next thing I got to do is I made a couple scribe marks. I've got to do a little bit of trimming just on this inside edge here and a little bit on this bottom lip here. So that's what I'm going to do next. We are back to all clamped up and ready to tack this bad boy into place. So we're going to start by tacking the bracing into place, and then I'll get that welded all in, and then we'll get the sheet metal piece fit back in, and then get that tacked, and then finish welded. I want to get that brace in there. Right now the sheet metal is holding the brace in place essentially, so I know everything will fit back together. So I'm going to tack that brace in place. That's the first thing I'm going to start with. We got it all tacked into place. You can see the nice little air gap through there. It's gonna weld up really nice. Okay, nothing to it but to do it, right? Let's get to it. There you go. You seen it all welded in and fast motion. Now we need to do a little bit of pre-grinding, and then we're going to set up the planishing hammer. Oops, I just kicked the camera. We're going to set up the planishing hammer and do just a little bit of light planishing. That is still hot, so I'm not going to touch it, but everything welded really nice and it looks really good. It needs very little planishing. So we're going to move on to the next step. There you have it. We've got that part made, welded in, metal finished, planished a little bit by hand, sanded down, plug welds are filled, sanded down. I know I said I was going to put this thing on the handheld planishing hammer, but it just welded out so nice that it took very little planishing with the hammer and dolly by hand. I'd way rather do that than put it in there, set it up, and then take the chance of overstretching it. So I think that that's enough videos on front fenders. There's a couple more holes that still need to get fixed. It's the same process over and over. I have a whole nother fender to go off camera. I'm gonna go ahead and get those taken care of, this other fender taken care of, get it up to speed so we can start mounting things instead of the same videos over and over. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe. I really appreciate y'all. And yeah, thank you very much. Bye now.